Welcome to Two Across, the podcast where two friends sitting on opposite sides of the Atlantic Ocean catch up over a crossword. I'm Theo Bosanquet, still sitting in sunny Northumberland.
And I'm Rob Cole, sitting in rainy Montreal. So is it sunny, or was that a bit of British self-deprecating wit?
Well, I paused when I said sunny because initially I thought, well, this is obviously laden with sarcasm. And then I thought, actually, no, it has been really nice today. It's been positively balmy. It's been about 15 degrees.
Wow.
Pretty solid sunshine, which, considering the biblical levels of rain we've had the last 2 weeks, and I'm looking around me now, I can see completely flooded fields outside. It's just been a total deluge, which is a disaster for farmers and shepherds and all the rest of it. But nevertheless, after having gone through that for the most of the time we've been up here, today has been something of a reprise. So, yeah, normally I would be sarcastic in that statement, but actually in this particular moment, I'm not. But you are now rainy rather than school closed snowy.
Yeah.
As you were last time.
As I said last record, that kind of snow comes and goes really fast. So within 3 days it was gone. On Monday it was 16 degrees. It was, I think, 18 yesterday, sunny. It's just bizarre. But today we're getting April showers.
I swear, every year that goes by, the winter gets longer and longer and longer until, one day it just will never end.
Yeah.
I mean, that could happen, obviously, in our lifetimes. If the climate/nuclear apocalypse does finally descend. But yeah, it's just, at the moment, it's more of a psychological winter. You're just pining for some kind of change. But anyway, we probably waffled on enough about the weather last time, so we should talk about something else.
Fair enough. So OJ died.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, what is there to say? I saw a documentary about him a few years ago, which was very in-depth. I think it was like a 3 or 4-parter, and it opened my eyes, I think, more than anything, to something that I hadn't appreciated at the time of his trial, which was just his level of celebrity in America. Because I remember the trial happening. I think I was a teenager at the time, and I'd never heard of him before because I don't follow American sports. I don't live in America. And so to me, he was always just known in my mind for the fact that he was on trial for murdering his wife. So watching this documentary, it really put into perspective his level of superstardom, and the fact he was, in lots of ways, I guess, to use a sort of football analogy, he was a kind of, Wayne Rooney level of sporting fame and acclaim. So hence the massive level of interest in the trial. I mean, you probably have a slightly better perspective on it than me, because you're at least in the same time zone.
Yeah, well, the juice. I was too young to have seen him in his sporting prime as the star running back for the Buffalo Bills, I believe that he was. But I remember him as the spokesperson for Hertz, and then following that as the hapless Nordberg on the Naked Gun series of movies, where he would he would get constantly injured in a series of increasingly slapstick events that were usually set off by Leslie Nielsen doing something stupid. I think at some point he fell down all of the steps of the upper bowl of the Angel Stadium in Anaheim before flipping off of his wheelchair and descending in the air to the lower bowl. I think that's how he made his stage exit from Naked Gun 1. So that's how I remember OJ. And then I remember the day of the white Bronco. I mean, it's etched in my memory. It's one of those, it was almost, oddly enough, a 2001 September 11th moment with so much less import. But it was just one of those moments where everyone was riveted to the same piece of ongoing news. And this Bronco driving through the streets of LA in a slow speed chase. I was at a party at Jordan Sullivan's house on Lake Ontario. It was a huge night. It was a ginormous party. It was one of those Dazed and Confused events where literally everything happened. Like people hooked up who were trying to be hook up all year. There were a couple of fights. One guy got his jaw broken by a bunch of hyenas that
Wow.
surrounded him. It was just this epic party. And the backdrop of it was the slow speed Bronco chase that we kept getting updates of. You know, people would be in the living room and they'd come out with a report of where the Bronco was and what had happened. And it was a pretty amusing thing. So, I mean, it was set off in such amazingly American razzmatazz fashion, that whole trial and everything. I have no opinion on it. I don't know anything about it. I really don't know if the glove fit. Were we supposed to acquit? I mean, Johnny Cochran, made famous as well by South Park in the Chewbacca defense, when they re-immortalized.
Oh, yeah. Yes, of course.
So it spun out any number of memes. It empowered celebrities to potentially kill their wives. I think, wasn't it Robert Blake a couple of years later who was believed to have potentially killed his wife or partner, Bonnie Lee Blakely, I believe her name was. I remember him from Lost Highway. Terrifying role. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't, alas. I'm not as au fait with Hollywood alleged murderers. Well, not from this era. I know quite a lot about the case of Fatty Arbuckle, who was a silent film star, who was accused back in the 1920s, I think, of murdering a young woman. But actually, there's parallels between that case and the Simpson case, just in terms of the sheer levels of sensationalism that surrounded it. But of course, the OJ case was laden with that whole extra level of racial tension.
Yes.
And I remember when the verdict was announced that the news cameras showed sort of different reactions, one in a hall full of white faces, another in a hall full of black faces, and of course the two reactions were completely contrasting. And it feels now like a real sort of, it feels a moment of its time, a moment of the 90s. But in other ways, I think it sort of set the course for it had a long tail, didn't it, the trial. I actually watched a film last night which maybe it's slightly more than a tenuous connection. You know, I like to mention films or plays or books or anything that sort of relates to something we're talking about. But this does, because it was American fiction. Have you seen that?
Not.
I'd really recommend it. It's a film about a black author played by Jeffrey Wright, who gets fed up with what he sort of sees as the blaxploitation of the publishing industry, that every black story is about killing and cops and murder and all this stuff. So he writes a sort of satire of a blaxploitation novel, and of course it gets picked up by the industry. He gets huge amounts of money and acclaim for it, and he ends up on the judging panel of an award for which this book, which he's written under a pseudonym, is eligible. So anyway, the film looks really, really, in a very direct way, at the perception of black lives in America. I think it's a really good watch, and actually I hadn't linked it really to the Simpson case at all, but I think the Simpson case played into that sort of debate, I suppose, around representations of black stories. And it's a fascinating case for all its many ins and outs. I mean, for what it's worth, based on watching this documentary, I think it was fairly clear that the glove did fit, as it were, in my mind. But I mean, in a sense, it caught up with him in the end. Yeah,
that wasn't the story by the end of it. It ended up being, because one forgets that this comes in the wake of Rodney King and the videotape of him being beaten by Los Angeles traffic cops. And I can't remember how many years later, but not many. I feel like this was maybe 1 or 2 years later. And so those two things were very much conflated. And OJ became so much more than a celebrity man who clearly was violent, maybe had a history of abuse, and who seemingly, based on the evidence and certainly the civil trial, found in favor of the plaintiffs, that they found that he had committed the murder. So but that by the time the circus was going, and by the time the verdict was announced, it had nothing to do with whether a celebrity had killed his wife. It became entirely something else. And I'm neither American nor close enough to the story to wade further into those waters.
Yeah, we're both sort of standing on the shoreline of some fairly deep and dangerous waters for two privileged white men to go wading into. On which note, I hate to draw us away from from this discussion, but another significant event has happened in the time since we last spoke, which in some ways is much more trivial, and in other ways is much more profound, which is the total eclipse of the sun.
Yes.
That you witnessed a few days ago. Now, what I'm going to suggest we do is park that discussion until afterwards, because I do want to hear your first-hand account of that. But I think we should do that at the end.
I agree.
Because we're already over 10 minutes in, and we should get on with our crosswording. So let's do that, yeah? Let's, as they say, put a pin in it.
Yes.
And, put a pin in the sun. And as the moon did appear to be, based on the lovely video that you sent me.
Spectacular, but that's all I'll say for now.
Okay, so let's keep that as a little teaser. So let's head into Guardian quick crossword number 16,827.
Yes, sir.
As always, do play along if you fancy doing that, and no doubt outwitting us with your clue finding. But yeah, we always go in blind, so we have no idea what we're going to be up against. And I think we're currently 6-8 down overall.
Correct.
So there's all to play for.
Everything
to play for. Rob, kick us off, if you please.
I'm going to close my eyes and just click at random on the grid. Okay, I have landed on 12 down, which is 5 letters, 3 letters, and the clue is a fertile female insect. Yeah. So I got it.
Oh, well done. Is second word ant?
Well, it could be, but I was thinking of another colonial species of insect, i.e. that lives in colonies, which would be a bee.
Queen bee.
Yeah.
Very good, Rob.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Very good. That's a smart start.
It is good,
Maybe we should do this more often, just like dive in at different places on the board, because we always seem to get stuck on the first couple of clues.
We do.
That gives us a very intriguing cue
the
middle of 11 across.
Take us there.
Which, well, I think this is a banker, which is, the clue is e.g. Toy Story 2 or The Matrix Reloaded, 6 letters, third letter Q.
Oh, I thought it was going to be 4 letters, 6 letters for shit movies, but no.
Oh, I think in the case of Matrix Reloaded that is fair. In the case of Toy Story 2, I think that's harsh.
Okay, I have to admit I don't know that I saw Toy Story 2.
I think Toy Story 2 is a rare example of a trilogy that doesn't necessarily dip at any point. I think it remains fairly consistent throughout. But let's not, get too distracted.
Back to episode 14, Woody stays hard throughout.
Yes. Listening back to that. Actually, one thing that's I need to make 2 apologies for last week's episode. The first is to the people of Cuba, because I mistakenly attributed the mojito to Brazil. I was actually thinking of a caipirinha, which is Brazilian, so apologies for that. My second apology is for missing the absolute slam dunk line at the end of the show when I talked about turning your grandmother's jugs into making jugs of your grandmother's buttocks.
Correct.
And of course, it was staring me in the face. You could have made jugs from your grandmother's jugs. So two apologies. Not sure the second one was strictly necessary. But sometimes when you listen back, you just hear things and you just think, I let that slide. Yeah. That was sloppy.
There are Romans in the audience shaking their fists.
Yes. Anyone who didn't listen to the last episode, which I'm sure is quite a few of you, will be fairly baffled by that apology. But nevertheless,
you can relieve yourself of bafflement by listening to episode 14.
Yes. Well said. Get your ears around episode 14. It was a good one.
Okay, so I guess it's my call. You took the last one. Let's go to What thieves do and what policemen do to thieves, which is N and then 3 spaces.
Ooh, blimey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, got it. Sorry, that took me longer than possibly it should have. You do the honors.
No, I don't have it.
Oh, you don't.
No.
It's Nick.
Yes.
So, your nicked son.
Yeah.
Is one of the classic police lines, or used to be back in my day. And yeah, one can nick a diamond or
a chocolate bar from a store.
Indeed. Or candy from a baby.
Candy from a baby.
Which actually, I think that's a misnomer, because I don't think that is particularly easy.
No, it's not.
You wouldn't want to take it from a baby, because a baby is liable to scream.
No,
and
a baby would fuck you up.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
You would regret that decision very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So let's go 7 down's a biggie.
Yep.
Could be useful. Oh, it's an anagram. Anagram klaxon.
Yeah.
And the anagram is cheer once. And the clue is logical consistency.
So I think I've got a guess on this one, Theo.
Oh, I love it when you say that. Go on.
I believe it is coherence.
Robert Cole, that is beautiful.
Does it cohere?
It does.
All right.
It does cohere.
Theo, I'm going to go to my home territory. 15 across.
Please do.
Is Q in the NATO alphabet.
Yes, I know this Canadian related clue because it's Quebec.
It is indeed.
Which is your state, is it not?
Province.
I'm so sorry.
My province of birth. My province of provenance.
Which I've always thought it is confusing having a city and a province. I suppose it's the New York State thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But when you say you're from Montreal, Quebec, I think, which is it? Right. Let's move on. 15 down, because we have another Q. Q is the letter of the day.
It is.
Sorry, if you heard a bit of disturbance in the background, that was my 10-year-old just coming to say night.
Lovely.
As we are recording in the evening.
Yet again,
indeed.
Nauseous. 6 letters.
Okay.
Not nauseous at hearing the voice of your 10-year-old. Never. A lovely 10-year-old.
Never. No. She's a good one.
Yeah.
15 down. So queasy, I think, is that one.
That sounds good to me.
Bit of a question around the order of the vowels in queasy.
Yeah, that makes me queasy. I think we can pencil in the U or pen and the Y at the end, but everything in the middle, is it UEAZ? Queasy? Or is it EE?
No, it's an S.
It's an S, okay.
Yeah, definitely an S. I think that's right. I think it's QUEASY.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we'll soon find out.
Yes.
The other clues may help us on that.
All right.
I'm just hopping around a little bit here.
Hop.
To get a sense of what might... So...
go.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say 14 down, I think, is pretty easy to get, which is Edward or Andrew example.
Ooh, they've chosen an unfortunate example there.
They have.
In Andrew. Could have gone for Harry or William, but...
Well, in Andrew's case, I think both of the things he is start with P. I'm just going to leave that out there. So
there's a new series on Netflix dramatizing his disastrous interview that he did with the BBC, in which he claimed he couldn't sweat and was in Pizza Express on the night of his alleged crime.
Yes.
But nevertheless, moving swiftly on, I think we've had enough talk of
his alleged indiscretion. I think that's how the Royals would prefer to.
Indiscretion. Yes. So 19 across is March - ballroom dance, which is 9 letters. 4th letter C, sixth letter S, and eighth letter E.
Yeah.
Ballroom dance.
I'm throwing this on to you, Theo. I've got nothing here.
So a march could... Yeah. No, I might need another letter on that.
Okay. Well, take us somewhere else. We'll come back around to this.
Okay. So 13 across is a 2. I do like a 2-worder because they're usually slightly more straightforward than the single words. 13 across is declutter, 4-2, and considering the second of those words ends in P,
yes.
I think that's a fairly easy. Yeah, my instinct was correct. It's tidy up. Yeah,
that makes sense to me.
Cool. So we're making decent time. We're now at the 19-minute mark, as in we've got 90 minutes left, and we are about a third of the way through, I think. So we're on track.
Yeah, and I think, Theo, that the letter of the day today is Q. I think that the Guardian crossword setter today just is really queued up, because I'm seeing a few things where Q might fit, but I think we should keep that in mind as we're doing this crossword.
Okay.
Because I think they're coming up all over the place. You want to take us to another place?
Yes. Let's go to... Well, I think this is one that does have a Q in it, Rob.
Yep.
Which is 2 down. Mm-hmm. And the clue is Basra natives.
Yes.
E.g.
Iraqis, yes.
Yeah. So that gives us a first letter of Q on 9 across.
Challenge the accuracy of 8 letters, starting with Q. Second last letter is an O.
Oh, I mean, question?
I think that sounds good to me.
Because I was going to say quibble, but that doesn't work. It doesn't fit.
No, I think question sounds great. And if to continue the Q streak, if we go to 1 down, which is 8 across, it ends... Sorry. 1 down, which is 8 letters long. It ends in Y, and the clue is amount. And I believe that also starts with Q.
Starts with Q. Yeah. Quantity. Interesting.
Yeah, so I think Q...
You're right, they're really into their Qs this week.
Oh, yes, because look at 5 across.
Not another one.
Whiny, space U, space R, and then 5 letters, which I think could be querulous.
Rob.
That is
a lovely word.
This is fun.
How are you spelling querulous?
Queer. I think is it ELOUS? Querulous? Or is it?
I'm happy to go with that.
I'm notoriously bad at spelling, so that's my weakness. Or is it querulous?
I would be tempted by a U, but actually now you've said E.
You know what?
I'm happy to go with it.
I wrote it in, and I don't like how it looks.
It's querulous.
I don't like how it looks.
But now I've written U in. I don't like how that looks because it's got 3 U's in there.
Yeah, but it's an unusual crossword, Theo.
Yeah, it is. Stop.
I'm going with you on this because as soon as I put E in, it looked really wrong. So another Q1 for us, Theo. 4 down. To give up. Space U, space T.
Yeah, which we will not be doing this week.
No.
Hopefully.
As God is our witness.
Now making very good progress. There's Q's everywhere here, Rob.
This is good.
If this was a Scrabble board, we'd be getting a lot of points.
We would.
Gripping tool, 6 letters. This is 3 down.
Yep.
6 letters. Second letter L. Fourth letter E. 6th letter S. Gripping tool.
Which I used a pair yesterday. I believe they are called pliers.
Oh, pliers, yeah. Yeah, of course. Shows how often I do DIY.
Oh, there are Q's. I see 2 more Q's here. They are everywhere.
They are everywhere. I mean, Thank you, crossword setter. That's
Yeah.
actually quite kind of you. I'm worried about this ballroom dance though.
Let's get
This march.
that will be our Waterloo, but let's solve everything and feel good about ourselves until we hit that wall. So 10 across, recoils in fear, is 6 letters long. It's 3 spaces, I space S. Recoils in fear. Another Q1.
Starting in or
Yeah, starting in.
quails?
Yep. I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, you can quail in fear, can't you?
Yeah, I think you could.
I'm surprised they didn't go for the birds as that clue.
True.
But okay.
Maybe they are a vegetarian.
Now, here's a word that I have to just put my hands in the air and say, I don't think I know what this means.
I know. I saw it too. No. And the funny thing is, I've seen it. I feel like there's a character in a book who someone calls this, and they call them Pulch for short, like Pulch. And I think at some point I looked it up even, but it's not there. Let's just do 8 across.
We should tell our listeners what that word is.
Yes, we should.
It's pulchritudinous.
Yes.
Spelled Pulchritudinous. Pulchritudinous.
Yeah. And I should tell listeners in North America that by H, Theo means H.
Yes, apologies.
That's awesome. My 10-year-old, or soon to be 10-year-old, who was a classmate of Theo's 10-year-old, and they're good friends. He
indeed
does still say H, okay, quite often when he's spelling things out. Which
I'm pleased to hear that he's still flying the flag of.
He is.
Proper English, as I like to
proper
call
English.
It. So, well, we're going to park that. Let's
get one more letter in pulchritudinous, which would be average or unpleasant. Ends with N, is 4 letters long.
Got it.
Yep.
My daughter's currently studying maths averages, so she was talking about this yesterday.
Lovely.
And it's mean.
Excellent.
And I was slightly embarrassed that I'd completely forgotten what all the different averages do mean. And fortunately, I guessed correctly that's the one where you add everything up and then divide it by the number, don't you?
Yeah.
You might know that. Right, I couldn't answer this question. So we were talking about, so it's the mean, median, and the mode are the classic averages, aren't they? When would you use the mode? I mean, I couldn't think of a single example. That's the one where it's just the most of something.
Well, yeah. So if you had, for instance, you were looking at all the kids in the class and you were looking at the month of their birth, and you were saying which is the most common month of birth.
Yes. Okay.
And so the average months of birth would probably always end up in June or July or something, but the most common could be April, for instance.
Okay.
So that's when you would
Thank you for giving me that excellent example that I was unable to come up with impromptu last night.
Let us get one more before we hit the wall.
Okay.
16 across is a complicated situation, like the one you found yourself in with your daughter trying to explain mean, median, and mode.
Sure.
But this one is more like, for instance, the situation that the Americans found themselves in Vietnam. It is a complicated situation, 8 letters long, and it ends in I space E. And I believe it starts in Q.
So it's got to end in I-L-E then,
Nope. It ends in I-R-E.
doesn't. A quagmire.
Yes, sir.
Oh my word, Rob.
Yeah.
That you're absolutely smashing these keywords out of the park.
I just love keywords.
Okay. So we now have 3 words left to get.
Yeah, and we're screwed.
3 clues, I should say. One is one we haven't mentioned yet, which is 4 letters, and it's insect larva beginning with G.
Yeah.
So, that's a gnat, isn't it? Is that right?
Is a gnat an insect larva? That would be amazing. I'm willing to. Well, but a gnat is not a gnat a flying insect, which would not make it a larva? Isn't it like a small flying insect, like a fruit fly?
Ooh. Well, do you have another guess?
I got nothing.
Because, I mean, my grandfather was a etymologist. Entomologist. No, I always get these two mixed up. Entomologist.
Yes.
He was not a studier of the meaning of words. He was a studier of bugs and insects.
Yes.
So he would be spinning in his grave if we get that wrong. But I'm willing to bat for Nat.
Okay, well, if it comes the moment where we have to desperately plug things in, let's take Nat and throw it in.
We now have a situation that could be, I was just going to say, we have a situation that is unusual on Two Across and could make for very, very poor listening, which is where we have two clues to get. We have an awful long time to get them. Oh, Rob, you've just made that wonderful noise. And your eyes are as wide as saucers. Tell me.
So I think I know what the ballroom dance is, and that's Q has helped us again. So it is space, C space, S space, E space. It is 9 letters long.
Yeah.
It is a ballroom dance. And if you started with a Q, then you'd obviously have to follow that with a U. And then it starts to kind of come into place. And actually, I have 17 down too. So Pulchritudinous is going to be our water.
Oh my God. You're a genius. It's Quick Step.
Yes.
We have a problem. We immediately have a problem, which is
What?
insect larva cannot be gnat.
Yeah, but I know what it is. It's a grub.
Oh, Rob, this is okay. This is crazy. Of course it's a grub. This is crazy. I'm really. This is 7.5 minutes left. Now the big reveal. What is Pulchritudinous? Does it have a Q?
Fucking hell. Okay, so, well, here you go, Theo. We have 2 U's in Pulchritudinous, okay? We have one as the 4th letter, and we have one as the the second last letter. So a Q could go before either of those. So it could be eek to end it, I-Q-U-E, or it could be space E-Q-U, but then it would be 2 vowels in a row. So I'm going to say that if the Q goes anywhere, it's going in that third last slot.
Okay.
That's my...
Which implies it must end in an E, yeah?
Yeah, but the other thing is, I space U space lends itself very well to ius, which would make sense because it's Pulchritudinous and it ends in an OUS. So it may engender an OUS synonym.
Yes, that it probably there's more. That's going to open up more words, isn't it?
I think so.
More options. So, do you have a guess? Are you building up to a?
I wish. I am Hercule Poirot-ing this crossword. I'm just trying to narrow down the possibilities to the likely side.
So, if it does end in ius, should we put a T in that box before to give us shus?
Yes, we could. What else could go there? I mean, a D. I mean, melodious has a D-I-U-S. What other words can go or letters can go there? Shus is our leading candidate. R could go there, like for instance, curious, but then it would be space E curious. D curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
Oh, this is so annoying. Why would you do this to us, Guardian?
Oh, it could also be a C.
Pulchritudinous. What could pulchritude
be?
Pulchritude. Oh, he's so pulchritudinous. It's again. We've talked about these P.G. Wodehouse words. Yes. I suspect this might be another of them.
It was then in the dining car that I came upon a most pulchritudinous gentleman.
Exactly. And if you did, I feel like it's going to be something like portly, or it'll be a bore, someone who's a bore, or someone who's... Oh. I was about to say querulous.
Yeah, we've already got querulous.
But that doesn't work. And we've already got that. Of course we have. What an idiot.
Pulchritude. So what could it be? Timidity, or it could be the opposite of it. It could be brashness.
I don't think we're going to get anywhere trying to guess the meaning of pulchritudinous. No. I think we're much better off just trying lots of combinations of letters until we make some kind of word. So I'm going to.
It's true. There aren't a lot of words that are going to fit into here. No. Okay. All right.
Let's go through all the possible opening letters, starting with Q, obviously, because we've had so many of them. But I don't think it can be, because QE. That's a very odd opening.
That can't.
Isn't
that
it?
just can't.
It's just not going to work.
Can't work.
Okay. Okay. So, gosh. Okay, I'm just going through letters now. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
Sequoia.
I was like obsequious, but we don't have space for that.
No. This is incredibly annoying. Oh, gosh. Yeah. I reckon the most likely starting letters are T, S. Well, T and S. Or...
So anyone that knows what pulchritude is or has looked it up in a dictionary is incredibly frustrated right now. What?
I think I've got it.
No.
I think I've got it, Rob. I think
tell.
It's beautiful. I think it's beautiful. As in, I think the word is beautiful.
Wow. So pulchritude is beauty? That's a most...
Well, why not?
You know what? Jesus, that is incredible. I mean...
I think it... Yeah?
Look, I got nothing else, and it fits. And the thing is...
If the word fits, you must...
You must submit.
You must quit the crossword. Yeah.
Nice use of a keyword.
I think that's beautiful, man, in every sense.
So, I mean, would you ever use that? Would you ever use that?
I'm stopping the clock.
Okay. So in common parlance, like for instance, when you first laid eyes upon your wife across the bar, or I don't know where you were, but you turned to your friend.
I was at a party.
And you just said to your friend, I have just seen a vision of pulchritude.
It doesn't sound great, does it? It doesn't sound like a positive thing.
No.
That's why I said something like portliness or someone who's boring or someone who's... It really doesn't sound... but anyway, look, it kind of... Right. Do you know what we should do? Instead of doing a reveal all, because I think that's slightly anticlimactic, what we're going to do is I'm going to look up the meaning of pulchritude.
All right. Oh,
so
God.
We can finally get to the bottom of this. Pulchritudinous. The first word that comes up if you Google pulchritudinous is beautiful.
Oh my God.
And it means having great physical beauty.
Wow.
So there you go. No idea where it comes from.
If I heard pulchritude, I would think someone that was homely but maybe fairly upstanding. Of good moral fiber but not particularly attractive.
But next time one wants to pay a compliment to one's better half, or indeed just a random stranger in a bar, go for pulchritudinous, because I think you'll... Well, it may not quite make the impression you hope it will, but... And it is, of course, from Latin.
Of course. I could not help but notice your pulchritude from my seat here on the other side of the bar.
Brilliant. Hello, you most pulchritudinous maiden. Yeah. Maybe James Joyce would have used such... Actually, no, he was far too base, far too saucy to use such elaborate language to throw back to our last podcast again.
He was too busy imbibing. James Joyce was too busy imbibing her farties. I did.
Yeah. I was just going to ask if you read it, and clearly you did, because that is the bit that really pops out at you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that
because
was
it quickly tips from being
something.
genuinely quite sort of sexy to being really very, very, very niche
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
fetishistic.
exactly. Yeah, it does get.
Right, let's cut to it, Rob. We're gonna do a reveal all. Now, the big
Yeah.
question for me
Querulous.
is our Querulous, and is it an you or is it
So
a?
I I'm going to tell you why I think it's a U. Because an oak is
Okay,
a
put the case.
quercus, right? An oak is a quercus.
Sure.
And it is
Yeah.
queres, Q-U-S. And that has nothing to do with querulous, which in this is whiny. But I kind of like that U. It feels somehow, it feels symmetrical. And that's why I like it. So I have no good reason to like that U other than it, yeah, the old quercus
Okay.
quercus.
I'm gonna do check all.
No.
We're 100% right.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought,
No, we're sorry for the agonising pause. We've got the lot,
lovely.
including the spelling of querulous. Oh, Rob, we are. That is three. That is our first three in a row. Oh,
It's our first. It's our first turkey to
yes.
take a bowling and disc golf term.
Yeah. Wow.
Querulous, but
Oh my
beautiful,
god. Our
dude. I
first.
mean, well done
Yeah.
with beautiful, because I had IOUS in there, and I was convinced it had to be IOUS, and you saw something else.
It was only me going through. I just literally scrolled through all the possible opening letters, and that was the thing that finally sort of tipped the balance in favour of beautiful. But anyway, look, we promised our listeners some hot Eclipse chat,
We
so
did.
we must deliver on that promise. Tell us all, Rob. Give us your account.
Well, so I thought I'd seen a full eclipse before, and I realized I hadn't. I've seen many partial eclipses. You know, the ones where you get a cereal box and you put a little pinhole in it, and you can see the reflection of the sun being partially obscured, or the projection rather, to go back to episode 14 of the sun being partially obscured. But I had never seen this, and it was seeing it that made me realize that I hadn't ever really seen a full eclipse. It's actually taken a bit of time to process. Actually, I found myself at the end of the eclipse looking online to find out where the next ones were, to maybe go see another, to be able to really fully inhabit it, having seen one now, and really appreciate it. It's quite short. That's one thing I would say that's really surprising, is that I was thinking kind of Tintin amongst the Incas or something. If you ever read the
Yeah.
Tintin, as some people would say, board books, I think there's one event where he and Captain Haddock are on a pyre of logs tied to a post about to be burned alive, and then Tintin sort of
Sure.
pulls a C-3PO move in from Return of the Jedi and convinces the natives that he has godlike powers, and he makes the sun disappear. But that's just because he knows when the eclipse is going to happen. And of course, he times it perfectly, and it all works out. That is actually statistically almost vanishingly unlikely, given that I think you're the one who told me the next eclipse total in the UK is in 2090. These things don't happen often.
Yes.
Apparently, every 18 months.
Yes. Somewhere on the Earth, roughly every 18 months,
Yeah.
there's an eclipse, but the chances of it passing over your particular neck of the Earth woods is, one in every sort of 300 years or something.
Something
So
like that.
actually, yeah, the fact that it passed over such a vast swathe of North America and South America, North America, and Canada is quite a remarkable thing.
It was. And we were in the line of total. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I work for an American company. I freelance for a magazine called Backstage, which is based in the States. So I'm on the kind of company chat, and it was amazing to see all of them posting their pictures and sharing links to kind of cool stuff like the NASA video. Did you see
No.
that at all? So NASA was filming it through very high-powered telescopes across multiple locations.
Oh,
And
man.
for someone that couldn't see it in person, it was probably the best, digital experience of the eclipse, because you really see in great detail the effect of the whole of the moon being over in front of the sun, and you see the incredible field. What's it called?
Bailey's beads.
Yeah. Thank you for coming to my rescue there. Yeah, you see the kind of halo effect of the sun, and it's just it really is breathtaking.
It is. And that's what I was going to say, is that's when I realized I hadn't ever seen a full eclipse before, because the moment, and it's light until it closes. That's the crazy thing, is that it really is until the moment that the full eclipse happens. You could be fooled into thinking that there were just some clouds obscuring the sun, because the rays are still so bright that you can't see the moon obscuring it unless you're wearing eclipse glasses, even through sunglasses. And it's just the moment that it closes, and all of a sudden everything gets into this twilight. It's not darkness, it's sort of twilight. There's a bunch of pigeons that started roosting. We were actually taking it from on top of our roof. We have a flat roof on top of our house, so we all went up there as a family. The kids had the day off school, and we sat there for the whole eclipse, watched it through the glasses, watched it close, and watched it reopen. But the moment that it closed, all of a sudden the light just dimmed to twilight. The birds roosted and went quiet, and it was just incredible to look up at it. It was, you could stare at it, and you just saw the halo around it and this blackness in the middle of the sun, which was completely indescribable. Honestly, even just taking videos of it, it doesn't do it justice, just to sort of be there. And it was actually pretty cool, because we were up in the roof and you could hear pretty well a sound field at 360 degrees. And the moment that it closed, there were these cheers that went up all around us as people were just amazed at this moment of it closing. So it was really cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. I think the last time there was a partial eclipse in the UK, it only passed over a very small, or rather only people in Cornwall could see it, because the rest of the UK was blanketed in cloud. And from the video you sent from your rooftop, it just looked like the perfect night to watch, or the perfect evening to
It was
witness
amazing. It was we had perfectly blue skies. We were one of the few areas in North America that had just clear blue skies. And Montreal is actually on the very edge of the zone of totality. So Montreal is an island, and north of it is another island called Laval, and we're all in the middle of the St. Lawrence River. Laval did not have a total eclipse, whereas Montreal did, and Laval is literally 10, 15 kilometers north of here. So we were just on the edge of it. It was amazing. Just the luck that we were right in the zone of totality, and it was sunny, because it had been cloudy for a few days. It's cloudy again for a few days now. We're getting a few days of rain, so the stars aligned, or the sun and the moon aligned.
As envious as I am that you and the family got to witness that, I'm also really, really happy for you all that you did, because that's one of the, I remember when I was a kid, some of the events, the sort of lunar events, or even just comets going past, or that sort of thing, that my dad would always make a point of knowing about, and then we'd all sort of rush outside to see them, and they stick in the mind. They do stick in the mind, those things, because they're just so much bigger than all of us. And I'm grasping at some sort of profound point with which to sign off, but what I am going to say by way of sign off is that our next episode is a very, very exciting one.
Yes, another cosmic event where two bodies of great importance will align.
Move over, sun and moon, because Rob and Theo are both gonna be in the same place,
in the same room.
You're coming to the UK.
I am,
as of next weekend. In fact, as of next week, I believe. You're setting off quite soon.
Setting up in a few days.
So exciting.
Looking forward to it.
So exciting. So we'll won't have to worry about dodgy internet connections, and I was going to say dodgy microphones. We may still.
I think that's still going to serve our podcast.
Sure. it's a hallmark. What can we say? But anyway, I'm really looking forward to seeing you, Rob.
Yeah, me too.
Just to round off, to come full circle on some weather chat, I think it is looking slightly more promising for your arrival. So
yes,
you've timed it well. And we will be embarking on a mini disc golf tour, but we can talk about that next week. And
yeah, and maybe we'll get some recorded outtakes from that for some bonus material on the podcast.
I'm sure our listeners are frothing at the mouth with expectation for that. Can you froth at the mouth in expectation? I don't know. Anyway, to all our listeners, you are pulchritudinous to us. And thank you for sticking with us.
You are so pulchritudinous. Somehow that was the first draft of the song, and he's like, wait a minute, that's not going to work.
You're pulchritudinous. On which note, Rob?
On which note?
See you soon, and I mean that very literally.
Yeah, see you soon. And have a safe drive back to London, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye. You've been listening to Two Across, a podcast by Rob Cole and Theo Bosanquet. Thank you so much for listening. As always, please do give us a like and a follow and all of that good stuff, or a word of mouth recommendation, a carrier pigeon, however you choose to transmit such information, please do go ahead and do it. And if you're so inclined, give us a follow on twitter.com @acrosspod. That's all one word, 2acrosspod. We currently have not an embarrassment of riches on the follower front, so we really appreciate you joining our very small army. All right, bye bye.